Hey everyone! Welcome back to your go-to channel for everything about coins, currency, and collecting. If you're a collector or just someone curious about old coins hiding in your change jar, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into a tiny but historically rich coin, the Canada 1-cent coin from 1973. It's more than just a penny. It carries a story of national pride, commemorative design, and yes, some versions even carry collector value. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a treasure from our vault. The 1973 Canada 1-cent coin was issued during a special year, Canada's 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. But wait, here's the twist. Unlike other denominations that had commemorative designs in 1973, the 1-cent coin did not feature the RCMP rider. That was reserved for the 25-cent quarter. Oh, what makes the 1973 penny interesting? It's all in the details. Let's start with the design. The obverse features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was introduced in 1965. This young bust of the Queen was designed by Arnold Machin and remained until 1981. On the reverse, you'll find the iconic two maple leaves on a twig, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray, the symbol of Canadian pride and unity. Now, here's something every collector loves: mintage numbers. In 1973, the Royal Canadian Mint produced over 457 million 1-cent coins for circulation. That's a lot, so in general, the coin is common in circulated condition. Alright, let's talk money. How much is a circulated 1973 Canadian penny worth today? Most circulated examples of the 1973 1-cent coin are only worth their face value, 1 cent, especially if they're worn or scratched. However, if you have one in very fine or extremely fine condition, you might be able to sell it for around 5 to 20 cents to the right buyer or fellow collector. But wait, here's where it gets interesting. In uncirculated or mint condition, or if it's graded MS-65 or higher by a company like ICCS or PCGS, the value can go up to $1 to $3 CAD, or possibly more depending on eye appeal. Here's the real gem. Did you know there are two varieties of the 1973 1-cent coin? There's the large bust and small bust varieties. These refer to different versions of Queen Elizabeth's portrait, due to different dies used at the mint that year. The small bust was used from 1973 onward, but some earlier large bust dies were also mistakenly used. The large bust version is considered rarer and more valuable. A circulated example can sell for $5 to $20, and in mint state, even $100 or more depending on condition and demand. To identify which one you have, you'll need to look closely at the spacing and alignment of the Queen's portrait compared to the rim. You may need a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe if you're trying to collect 1973 Canadian cents. Here are some tips. Always check your change and old jars. These coins are still out there. Use a magnifying glass to spot rare varieties like the large bust. Store your coins in acid-free holders to preserve condition. Consider getting coins graded for resale value. The 1973 Canadian 1-cent coin might seem like just another penny, but for collectors, it's a window into Canadian history, minting, quirks, and maybe even a small treasure. Oh, what are you waiting for? Go check your coin collection. Maybe you've got a 1973 large bust waiting to be discovered. In 1981, millions of Canadians used this simple yet iconic coin in everyday transactions, buying candy, paying for the bus, or saving up in piggy banks. The 1981 Canadian 1-cent coin may seem ordinary, but like many old coins, it carries both history and a bit of mystery. This coin features the classic design of the maple leaf twig, originally created by G.E. Kruger Gray, symbolizing Canada's natural beauty and national pride. On the obverse, you'll see the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. Now, let's talk numbers. The Royal Canadian Mint struck over 1.2 billion 1-cent coins in 1981. Yes, that's billion with a B. This makes the 1981 cent a common date in the Canadian penny series. The coin is made of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc, giving it that reddish-brown color collectors know and love. It weighs 2.8 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. Because of its high mintage, you can still find many of these coins in circulation or tucked away in drawers across Canada. Now to the big question: what's it worth today? In circulated condition, a 1981 Canada 1-cent coin is typically worth just 1 cent in everyday spending value. But to collectors, even common coins can hold more worth under the right conditions. Most circulated examples fetch around $0.05 to $0.15 CAD depending on wear, color, and eye appeal. That's 5 to 15 times its face value. If your coin has heavy wear, it likely won't earn more than face value. But a lightly circulated or red-toned example might interest a beginner collector. But what if your coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition? Coins that were never used in circulation, known as mint state or MS coins, can be worth more. For a 1981 Canada 1-cent coin in MS 63 to MS 65 condition, collectors may pay $1 to $3 CAD. And for higher grades like MS 66 or MS 67, the price can go even higher, sometimes reaching $10 or more. But remember, finding a flawless 1981 cent is challenging, and grading by a professional service like ICCS or PCGS can help verify its true condition. Here are some quick tips if you're collecting 1981 Canadian pennies. Look for coins with a bright red copper tone. These are more valuable. Avoid heavily scratched or corroded coins. They're less desirable. Consider storing your coins in acid-free holders to prevent further oxidation. Also, always check for any errors or varieties. Though no major ones are confirmed for this date, small die cracks or planchet issues can still make your coin unique. Did you know? The 1-cent coin was officially retired from circulation in 2013 due to the rising cost of production. But in 1981, it was still a big part of Canadian daily life. Also, coins from the early 80s are now over 40 years old, making them great entry points for young collectors just starting their numismatic journey. Whether you're collecting for fun, for history, or for value. The 1981 Canada 1-cent coin is a humble yet meaningful piece of the past. If you have a 1981 Canadian penny, now you know its story and value. Let us know in the comments. How many 1981 pennies have you found? And do you have one in mint condition? Let's take a quick trip back in time to 1981, the year this penny was minted. It was a time of change and challenge for Canada. Pierre Elliott Trudeau was Prime Minister, inflation was high, and Canadians were adjusting to a shifting economy and the world of coins. The 1-cent piece was still a vital part of daily transactions. It had been a staple in Canadian pockets since 1858, when the province of Canada issued its first decimal coinage. Over the decades, the penny became a symbol of thrift and tradition. The design of the 1981 penny, featuring 2 maple leaves on a twig, was first introduced in 1937 and became one of the most recognizable symbols in Canadian numismatics. This same design was used for decades and is cherished by collectors for its simplicity and national identity. The obverse of the coin features the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, as designed by British sculptor Arnold Machin in 1965. This portrait remained in use on Canadian coins until 1989, making your 1981 penny part of a significant era in Canadian coinage. The Canada 1-cent coin from 1996. Is it just pocket change, or could it be worth more than a penny? Let's find out. The Canadian 1-cent coin, popularly known as the penny, has a long legacy dating all the way back to 1858. But the coin we're focusing on today was minted in 1996, a time when Canada was still producing pennies in vast numbers. Back then, these coins were still a vital part of daily transactions. Even though they've since been phased out from circulation in 2013, many 1996 pennies are still tucked away in drawers, jars, and collections across Canada. The obverse or heads side of the 1996 1-cent coin features a familiar image, *** Queen Elizabeth II**, designed by artist Dora de Pettery Hunt. This portrait was used from 1990 to 2003 and is known for its mature and regal representation of the Queen. Flip it over and you'll see the reverse, which showcases the iconic maple leaf twig, a powerful national symbol of Canada. This design was created by G.E. Kruger Gray and has adorned the penny since 1937. Now let's talk materials. The 1996 1-cent coin is made from 98% copper, 1.75% zinc, and 0.25% tin. This gives it that rich reddish-brown color we all associate with pennies. Diameter ** 19.05 mm, weight ** 2.5 grams, thickness ** 1.45 mm, edge ** smooth. These coins were struck at the Royal Canadian Mint in large quantities. But just how many were made? In 1996, the Royal Canadian Mint produced a staggering 673, 512, 0.001 coins for circulation. That's right, over 673 million. So yes, they are quite common. However, don't lose hope. there are variations and conditions that can make a big difference in value, especially for collectors. Now the big question, what is the circulated value of the 1996 Canadian 1-cent coin today? In average circulated condition, most of these pennies are worth 1 cent, exactly their face value. But in better condition, like extra fine, XF, or about uncirculated, AU, the value can rise slightly to about 2 to 5 cents. However, if you happen to have a mint state coin, MS-60 or higher, especially MS-65 red, you might fetch between $0.25 to $1 CAD or more depending on the buyer. And remember, some rare varieties or mint errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies can dramatically increase the coin's value. So should you keep your 1996 Canadian pennies? Absolutely, especially if they're in great condition or part of a broader coin collection. These coins are no longer in production, which means over time, their scarcity could increase. While they might not be worth much now, they're an important part of Canada's monetary history and a fantastic way to introduce new collectors to the hobby. That wraps up today's look at the 1996 Canada 1-cent coin. If you've got one in your collection, share a photo in the comments or tell us where you found it. The 1996 Canada 1-cent coin may look like just another penny, but it's part of a long and rich history that dates back well over a century. Let's take a closer look at how this coin fits into the timeline of Canadian currency. Canada's 1-cent coin has its roots in 1858, when the province of Canada issued its first decimal coinage. Back then, coins were larger and made of heavy bronze. Over the decades, the penny saw several changes in size, weight, and design. In 1920, the coin was reduced in size to make it more economical. Then in 1937, the modern design of the maple leaf twig was introduced, a symbol that has stayed with the penny ever since. On the obverse, front, of the coin, Canada has always featured the reigning British monarch. For the 1996 1-cent coin, we see the third effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Canadian sculptor Dora de Pedery Hunt. This portrait was introduced in 1990 and was used until 2003. This image marked an important milestone. It was the first effigy of the Queen designed by a Canadian artist, and it portrayed Her Majesty in a more mature and realistic manner compared to earlier designs. The 1990s were a high-production era for Canadian pennies. In 1996 alone, the Royal Canadian Mint struck over 673 million 1-cent coins for circulation. That's a staggering number, showing how vital the penny still was to the Canadian economy at the time. Despite inflation and decreasing purchasing power, the penny continued to be used in transactions across the country. Just a few years later, the Canadian penny would face its eventual phase-out. By the late 2000s, it became increasingly costly to produce a 1-cent coin, more than its face value in many cases, and 2012, the Canadian government announced that the penny would be discontinued due to rising production costs and low usage. In 2013, the Mint stopped distributing them to financial institutions, officially ending its use in daily commerce. But coins like the 1996 Canada 1-cent live on in collections, coin jars, and the hearts of enthusiasts who remember when a penny was still worth picking up. The 1996 Canadian penny may not be rare, but it captures a moment in Canadian history, a time of transition, tradition, and transformation. It represents a Canada that still carried coins in every pocket and saw value in the smallest denomination. Today, we're diving into the world of Canadian pennies, specifically the 1978 Canada 1-cent coin, what it looks like, its history, and most importantly, its value in circulated condition. So, if you found a 1978 Canadian penny in your change, stick around because you might be surprised at what it's worth. The Canadian 1-cent coin, commonly known as the penny, was an essential part of Canadian currency for over a century before it was officially phased out in 2013. The 1978 penny features the iconic maple leaf twig on the reverse side, a design that was used from 1959 all the way through 2012. On the obverse, you'll see a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold McKim, which was used on Canadian pennies from 1965 until 1989. This particular 1978 penny is made of bronze, composed mostly of copper, giving it that classic reddish tone. The late 1970s was a period of economic change in Canada. Copper prices fluctuated, and this had a direct impact on coin production costs. Despite this, the penny remained in wide circulation, even though its purchasing power was steadily declining. In 1978, millions of these pennies were minted, about 168 million to be exact, making it one of the more common years for Canadian pennies. What determines the value of a 1978 Canadian penny today? The three biggest factors are coins that are in mint or near mint condition are worth more. However, pennies found in everyday circulation tend to be worn, scratched, or discolored. Sometimes, pennies have unique minting mistakes, like double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws, that can increase value. While 1978 pennies are common, certain rare varieties or condition grades can still catch collectors' eyes. If your penny has been in circulation, it's important to know that the typical value of a circulated 1978 Canadian penny is generally just face value, 1 cent. Most circulated examples show normal wear and are worth no more than their nominal value to everyday collectors. However, in very fine VF to extremely fine EF condition, these coins might fetch a bit more from collectors, usually around 5 to 10 cents. If you have an uncirculated or proof coin, the value jumps significantly, ranging anywhere from 50 cents to a couple of dollars. Depending on the grade and market demand, tell if your 1978 penny is in better condition. Look for sharp, clear details on the maple leaves, distinct, crisp edges on Queen Elizabeth II's portrait, minimal scratches or discoloration. If you spot any unusual features like doubled lettering, off-center strikes, or missing parts of the design, take a closer look, as these could be valuable mint errors. Even though the penny is no longer in circulation in Canada, collecting these coins remains popular. They represent a piece of Canadian history and culture. Plus, some pennies, including certain years and era coins, can become valuable over time. And who knows? Maybe that 1978 penny you found in your pocket could be the start of a rewarding collection. If you want to start collecting Canadian pennies or coins in general, here are a few quick tips. Always store your coins in a cool, dry place to avoid corrosion. Use coin holders or albums to protect your coins from damage. Educate yourself on different coin grades. This will help you determine the value. Join coin collector communities online or locally. They're great for advice and trading. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video about the 1978 Canadian penny and want to learn more about coins from Canada or around the world, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications on our latest videos. Got a rare coin you want me to check out? Drop a comment or send me a message. I love hearing from fellow collectors. Until next time, keep collecting and stay curious.